Hello guys, my name is Diego Pacheco and this is another Java video. So today we will be seeing a POC I made, and we're gonna be covering a bit more about Spring Mock MVC, which is pretty useful for testing. I made another video about the test REST template. Basically, the REST template, it really calls the whole HTTP stack, so it's a proper integration test. And with the mock MVC, it actually calls the controller, but there is a fake servlet dispatcher. So this will be faster in the ideal for controller testing. So let's take a look how this works. Okay. So I have my POC over here. Let me open my idea, and we can start from there. So this project, I'm using one of the latest Spring Boot 2.4.1. As you can see here, I'm using Maven. So I have the starter web, starter test, and the Maven plugin. All right, so pretty basic in sense of Maven dependencies. Then let's take a look on the application. Right. So for my application, I have a module, a person, a Pojo here, and my Pojo, I have an ID, which is an integer, a name, and a support, right? So it's a person who likes football and supports a team. Then empty constructor, full constructor, gets and setters, equals hash code to string. No big deal here. Now, let's take a look on the service, right? So on the service, I basically create a map here where the key is an integer, will be the ID of the person, and the value is a person object. And so I instantiate this hash map here. And then on the constructor of my person service, I am populating two records here, me and my wife, and we both support Gremio. And these are IDs, ID1 and ID2. Then here we have another method to get the person by ID, and you receive a person. And basically, I do a get on the map based on the ID. Ideally, we should be validating the input here, right? But I skip this part for simplicity. And we annotate this class as @service, right? Because it's a service. Right. Now, we can take a look on the controller, and I also have a custom exception. So the controller is annotated as REST controller. I am auto-wiring by type injecting a person service here. And then I have a method called get person by ID, right? So there's a get mapping here. So the URL gonna be /person/ and then the ID, and this is gonna produce JSON. I'm gonna return a person. Also, I have a path variable to map the ID from the path to the method here as we receive an integer ID. Then what I do, I call the service to get the person by ID, and I return a person object. And if this is not null, then I return the person. If this is null, I throw this exception, resource not found exception. Ideally, one thing we could do here to make this a bit better, right, is using option here and with optional, and then it will be a bit more elegant, all right? But for sake of simplicity, I'm gonna keep this way. But ideally, if we can avoid to use null, would be definitely better. So this exception is mapped, right? So I have the response status as HTTP status not found, right? So this will be mapped to a 404 pretty much, right? Yes, so that's the application. We have the application class here as well. So no big deal. Add Spring Boot, enable auto configuration components come. And now let's go to the tests, right? Which is the mock MVC interesting part. Well, So I have a couple of things here, right? So first of all, we using extends with Spring Extension in order to run this properly. And then I'm gonna do a web MVC test and then say, okay, I'm gonna test for this controller, the person controller, right? And then I auto wire my MockMVC here, all right? And I have two tests. One test where I cannot find the person, so I pass an ID that doesn't exist. As you know, I have ID 1 and 2, so ID 3 will not work. And another I have another test that actually tests for an existing ID, right? And we can do some assertions here. So the MVC has some DSL here, so I had to import some static classes, as you can see here, some from JUnit as assert equals and assert true, and for the mock MVC, there's get, there's post, that all the verbs and also status I'm doing here, right? So let's take a look on the test, right? So for the one that doesn't exist, we do MVC perform, then we want to do a get. That's the URL that we want to hit, and we want to bind the ID. And here we are passing the ID. Then I'm saying, okay, the content type is JSON, and as you can see here, we close the perform. And now we can do as many as we want this and expect, right? We could get the return at the end if we want to get the mocked result, but here I don't care, right? So I check if the status is not found, which would be translated to 404. I also get the result, and I'm looking that there will be exception there. I'm expecting to be a resource not found exception, and I'm also looking the message of that exception to be this way, right? So this I'm just showing as capability. Ideally, you know, I wouldn't be doing this assertion because it would make your test more fragile, and just checking the exception I think is enough, and you know, but I just want to show the capability. And then the other one is pretty similar, but the main difference is we pass an ID that exists, and also here I'm getting the result, right? And I'm getting the response as a string, so I get the JSON, and I'm comparing if that JSON is exactly like this, right? So ID1 is Diego and supports Grêmio. So let's run this and see what happens. So running right now, and as you can see, it boot ups the Spring context, right? So this is a fake dispatcher, right? So you can see here is a different dispatcher servlet, right? So it's a lightweight stack. As you can see, it boot ups much faster, right? And it works. It just works. You see all tests are passing. All right. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you like this video. See you next time. Take care. Cheers.